Good evening. Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
We're here to celebrate the artists who expand what's possible on screen.
I'm sorry, but this just looks like a setup. It does. So something just took place like 2 days ago or a day ago, probably. By the time you guys watch this video, it's probably 2 days ago. At the BAFTA Award, there's a movie about a condition, a disability. It's called Tourettes Syndrome, and the people affected by this have what they call a tic. I'm not too educated on this, but I have seen and met people with Tourette syndromes in my personal life. I've worked in mental health and other care-related jobs. So I kind of know a little bit about how it, I guess, works. The movie was made almost like a documentary about that condition, and the man who is the inspiration for it, I think it's John Davidson. I can't remember, I could be wrong, but I believe his first name is John. He was invited to the BAFTAs because there was going to be an award presented for that movie. So he's not in the movie, but he is the inspiration for the movie. So the award is going to be presented to the actors of the movie, but obviously he will be honored because obviously he was the one who inspired the movie. As I'm thinking about this makes sense. It kind of makes sense. They want to honor him. They bring him in. Any other type of disability, this is fine so far. Unfortunately, the disability, if you guys Google it, it is an involuntary outburst. A lot of the ones that I've seen online tend to be like swearing and really, really vulgar swearing. The ones I've met in person, it tends to be like noises. Like I said, I'm not that educated on it, so you know, I've only met like a couple. I've not met every single person with Tourette syndrome, so I'm sure it affects people differently. Again, I don't know much about it, so forgive me if I'm, saying anything wrong. What then happens is that because they sat the man, John, in the front, I guess in the front, which will probably be like almost like a VIP section, which again makes sense because they're trying to honor him. He's having these involuntary outbursts, right? So he's screaming out stuff during the ceremony to various people, and unfortunately, he screams out the racial slur, the N-word, the hard R N-word, like they say in America, towards the two black actors who were here to present an award for his movie, I believe. And then now this has sparked a massive conversation because black community, us, we don't play that. We do not play that.
The stars of the film Sinners, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, walk on stage to present an award at the British version of the Oscars.
Good evening.
Then, out of nowhere, someone in the audience starts shouting obscenities, including the N-word. Both actors are taken aback.
We're here to...
So who would be so offensive? The foul-mouthed insults came from this man, John Davidson. He suffers from Tourette Syndrome, a neurological condition that causes involuntary motor and verbal tics. Davidson is the inspiration for the critically acclaimed movie I Swear. The film star Robert Aramayo beat out Timothée Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio to win the Best Actor BAFTA.
Robert Aramayo from I Swear.
Oh, okay, so they weren't the one presenting the award, my bad.
Later, BAFTA's host Alan Cumming took to the stage and attempted to apologize for the shocking outburst.
The person who has Tourette syndrome has no control over their language. We apologize if you were offended.
But for many, that apology was not enough. Unacceptable, writes Jamie Foxx.
While people do have sympathy for the fact that he does have Tourette syndrome, there's feeling that black people are being asked to show grace, and grace is not being shown to them about how incredibly powerfully just upsetting this word is.
You can think about it sort of being like the worst thing that could happen at the worst time.
All right, guys, so here's my thing. Black people don't play that. So now we have a war between disability versus minorities, or disability versus racism. My issue here is the situation looks a little bit suspicious. Well, I'll tell you guys what happened on paper it sounds amazing, but because of the type of disability he has, it feels like someone conspired, like, oh, let's put him out there and we might get ratings, or he might do something that will make us go viral. Or in my head, that's what it sounds like. Somebody sat down and cooked up, and maybe they didn't plan for the N-word to be part of the outburst, but they probably did want some form of viral moment. That's what I'm thinking. In a way it worked. But I really feel sorry for the man himself, because some people are arguing that there's still some level of control there, which I don't think they do have that control from what I know. But some people are arguing that he said this specifically when the black actors were there, but he never said it again for any other person that stood on the stage. And apparently he said it 2 more times to other black people. So I can see where the outrage comes from, and I can see why people are really upset. The reason why I'm talking about it is that I want you guys to know what this specific disability looks like. There's a girl that's going viral on TikTok. She also suffers from this condition, and she gave her 2 cents.
Ignore how I look right now. Pretty great kitchen. I am not feeling too great. However, there is something I have been asked to talk about, and that is going to be the BAFTA situation. I have been seeing a bunch of outrage about it, people saying, oh, well, why would that even be in his vocabulary? He did that on purpose and all of this stuff, and that racism is to excuse. A very sad day for the Tourette Syndrome community, especially for the ones that have coprolalia, because when you come online and you see thousands of people hating on your condition, specifically coprolalia, because that's something that is already very embarrassing for all of us. I'm not going to say that people can't be offended by the fact that somebody said the N-word as a tick. However, it's not something that somebody can control. It's not something that somebody wants to say. And I've been seeing a lot of people be like, well, he said it like when the crowd went silent. That is most likely when a tick is going to happen, when you're in public, when you're in complete silence, or when you're trying not to say or do something. We must understand what coprolalia is. Coprolalia causes involuntary swearing and inappropriate tics. This can include the N-word, slurs, etc. I am a black person, and even I have the N-word tic and slurs as tics. This is something I don't see many talk about because of situations like this. Is it a disappointing thing? Shut up! That it happened in public in front of that entire crowd, specifically to Michael B. Jordan and the other presenter. I'm so sorry, I do not know his name. I wish I did, but no disrespect to him. I just am not too aware. Yes, it is a very unfortunate situation. Seeing so many people say that they would invoke violence against people with coprolalia.
Yeah, I was hearing
can't control their tics.
I was hearing that.
That's ableism. It's a fucked up thing that this happens, yes, but it's something that we can't control. Aggression in the brain being triggered. Shut up. And ultimately causing inappropriate tics. Michael B. Jordan and the other presenter have the right to be upset, especially if they were not aware. However, we need to understand and educate ourselves. And on my videos, I constantly see people saying, oh my god, it's so funny. If I had cursing tics, I would be laughing all the time. But when people actually have cursing tics, then it's offensive and they're a bad person and this and that, the third. We need to do better. We need to educate ourselves better. This is not me saying that people don't have the right to be offended. However, you can't be offended when a disabled person is disabled. I may make a part 2 of this. There's a lot that I need to say, but
I'm watching her and I really just, my heart goes out to her, and I could just imagine, what if that was me? What if this was something that I suffer from? That's by the by. Unfortunately, this has turned into like a victim gymnastics thing, and for me, I don't think it is the fault of the man, John Davidson, I believe his name is. I don't think it's his fault. I also don't think people should be getting on black people for being upset, because again, for me, if something offensive happens and people get offended, you can't then be like, oh, you're offended? That's silly, right? And I believe, the Bible even talks about, if you offend somebody, go and say sorry. Do you get what I mean? So go and talk to them, go and, try and apologize. The Bible talks about that. So the Bible didn't say bury your head in the sand and be like, oh my God, why would you be offended? Don't do that. Lastly, I don't know, it feels like it's something that was orchestrated. I just think, everybody just needs to understand both sides. There is no winning side. There's no, in this argument, there's no right or wrong, in my opinion. I just think the people who were wrong are the TV shows. If for any reason they wanted to capitalize on it, somebody thought in the drawing room, oh, imagine if he said this and then we go viral and make more money, those will be the real villains. And then there's also talks about how it was happening live, but then it aired a couple hours later and they still didn't edit out the scene, and people are out on arms about that because they had plenty of time to have cut out or bleeped out the scene. But unfortunately, the audience who saw it 2 hours later were able to hear it. I don't think it's right to be angry at the man who has the disability, especially that it's stated that it's involuntary, meaning the person does not have control over it. So it means that no matter what you do to them, they're gonna do it anyway. That's how I interpret involuntary. But unfortunately, you know the way we deal with disabilities and mental health back in the day. I remember growing up and people used to say there is no mental health, and we didn't call it mental health then, we called it something else. But there's no mental health that basically the rod, beating, a punch in the face, or some form of violence cannot cure. And unfortunately, people are saying that online. They're like, well, you know, if you say that to the wrong person, whether you got Tourette syndrome or not, you get smacked in the face. I bet you won't say it again. I bet you won't say it again.
Somebody said Tourette's. I said send them to the hood. So I was watching the BAFTAs, right? And then this activist with Tourette's started yelling the N-word with the hard ER. Now, I know. Tourette's is involuntary. It's not like it's just this thing that people can just switch off whenever they want to. But let me tell y'all something. You drop that word in the hood just one good time, you're gonna discover muscles of self-control that you didn't even know you had. See, the hood is not WebMD. The hood has immediate, what I call hands-on corrective therapy. You might take once, maybe twice, but by day 3, you blinking in Morse code instead.
I bet you
See, there's one thing about the hood. It does not tolerate recreational racism. There will be a course correction, and it'll come swiftly. I'm just saying, how fast y'all think the hood would have cleared this up?
And do you know what, guys? I am almost certain that given his age, I'm not talking about this lady, I'm talking about John Davidson, that at some point in his life, he has been beaten up for his condition, where people just didn't know what it was, and they beat him to a pulp. I'm almost certain that's happened to him. I could be wrong. I think maybe the young lady that we watched earlier may not face that, because again, mental health awareness has been a thing for a while for us, especially for, I guess, my generation, a bit later in our, you know, just after school, mental health awareness was a thing. So a lot of young people now, especially the ones growing up after us, know about mental health. But from John Davidson's age, let's say when he was growing up, I'm almost 100% sure, especially if he had the condition at a young age, that he's been beaten to a pulp for having his condition, but they just didn't know that that's what he had. So the notion that, you know, if he goes to the hood and they beat him to a pulp, he would not have the condition anymore. Again, I don't know full details about the condition, but I'm quite sure he can't turn it off. The notion that that would change him, I don't know. But what can we learn from this, guys? Don't get drawn into these things. And like I said, I really feel like this was manufactured. If it smells and looks like it, I bet it is. I really do. I really do feel like somebody sat down and thought, ooh, what an opportunity we got here for somebody to sit in front and offend everyone and then get us ratings. Maybe they thought, yes, he would say the N-word, and they thought, let's see what will happen because they can't do nothing to him. Or maybe they never expected the N-word to come out. But I do see a level of planning here. It looks like a setup. It does. But don't get drawn in. And more than anything, the reason why I'm making this video is because, you know, I have worked with people with Tourette's before. I just thought it would be really good to kind of let you guys know what it looks like. Because I know a lot of my audience, a lot of people that I know personally, don't really have run-ins with certain types of mental health. So for me, I think there needs to be a level of understanding on both sides. Black people need to understand that the man is not at fault. I would blame BBC, period, and whoever came up with this idea, it's their fault. But the man who suffers from the condition is not at fault. And then at the same time, on that side, the man I do think should apologize. I know it's involuntary, But when we do things that we didn't mean, we can still apologize for it. And I think he should apologize to Black people in general, because again, it was offensive. And when you do something offensive and people get offended, you can't then say, oh my God, why are you offended? That's just silly. So people need to apologize. Not everybody will accept that apology, but I think it will go a long way. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Remember to leave a like, comment, and sub. Leave a follow if you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Share the video so that others can see it and grow my community. I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.